Hi people. We're continuing. This is the second part of our life science in a nutshell review notes. So in the first life science video we did previously, we were talking about the first invention of how microscopy allowed scientists to view of the first cell structures, primarily cell walls of plants or bark of trees, etc. So, of course, as microscopy advanced, they're able to see more minute visualizations of the cell parts. So, the first section we're doing here is plant cells, and we looked at the cell wall here. And Ruben is helping me read notes. Say hi, Ruben.
Hello.
Hello. So, okay. So the plant cells have a cell wall, which other kinds of cells don't. And the second part of the cell that only plant cells have is a chloroplast. So Ruben was reading about chloroplast, and you can visualize it here. Ruben, what was a chloroplast again? Can you tell us?
Chloroplast is
I'm sorry.
a raisin-looking shape around in the cell's interior, and they absorb the sun's energy for the production of nutrients.
So they absorb sun's energy and produce nutrients. We'll learn more specifically what they produce. But okay, so these are the pictures we have. Chloroplast. Here it's showing the outer membrane of the chloroplast organelle. Organelles are small parts of cells. This is the inner membrane. What does that say? Thylakoid? Intermembrane space. Granum, stack of thylakoids. Stroma lamellae. Stroma. So there's a lot of parts inside the chloroplast.
Pretty cool.
Lumen, inner membrane, outer membrane, granum, thylakoid, stroma, lamellae. I had to sometimes squish these pictures to make them smaller because of saving space. So, intermembrane space, stroma. So, if you want to look at more of these pictures and stuff, they have a lot of info on Wikipedia and Google. So, that's where I got a lot of this info. So, intermembrane space says chloroplast inside the chloroplast granum. So,
It's
okay,
like a
this is something
greenhouse.
else. So basically, chloroplasts are using sun's energy to produce different things useful for everybody. Okay, and this is a cyanobacterium, and I guess they have a somewhat similar internal structure that they use to create and produce energy inside the cells. Okay, the next cell part that we're learning about that is only found in plant cells is the vacuole. Read this.
A vacuole is another structure exclusively found in plants. It is a large space in the interior of the cell storing water, nutrients, extra materials to be used by the cell or to be passed out of the cell. It looks like a sack of rice. It gives firmness and shape due to the water absorbed from soil into roots, and when this water is used up by the cell, the vacuoles shrink, as does the cell. Eventually, the entire plant wilts. A cell's wall cannot maintain the integrity of the cell if not for the water inside the vacuole, and the plant's shape will also not be maintained if water is looking
Lacking.
in lacking in its surroundings.
So I have a picture here of the vacuole, and I compared it to a sack of rice because that's what it kind of looked like to me. So it's obviously a big part of the cell. So here it's showing different parts. So that's the vacuole with water, ribosomes, mitochondria, cell membrane, Golgi complex, cytoplasm, cell wall, chloroplast, nucleus are shown in that foot picture. More pictures of vacuoles. They have some really cool pictures on Google you can look at, showing how it looks in 3D and stuff. With the cell, that's the cell inside, interior of a plant cell. The next part is called diffusion. So diffusion describes the process of water soluble products moving from areas of high concentration to low concentration. In unicellular pond organisms, oxygen diffuses through cell membranes into cells from external water where there's lots of oxygen. Eventually, oxygen concentration levels off on the outside and inside, at which point diffusion stops. That's one example of diffusion, in this case oxygen, which is the O2 molecule. And there's different kinds of diffusion. Here, read this. Select.
Selectively uh, permeable cell membranes allow some substances to pass through while blocking others. This movement takes place across cell membranes via either passive or active transport. In passive transport, materials like water move or diffuse from higher to lower concentration, but this time across or through cell membranes without using any of the cell's energy. In active transport, however, the movement of materials is against the concentration gradient, so from lower the higher concentration.
To lower
Lower to
higher.
higher concentration. I messed up right there. This process uses the cell's energy in order to move certain substances into and out of the cell. For carrying particular molecules into and out of the cell, transport carry proteins are utilized.
Yeah, they're called transport or carrier proteins. And here I have some pictures, diagrams showing these transport proteins, which are across the channels in the membrane of the cell. So protein, you have the protein channel. So through these proteins inside the membrane of the cell, different molecules can pass, either through passive diffusion or through active diffusion. So if it's going from higher concentration to lower, it's called passive. It doesn't use up any of the cell's energy. If it's going from a lower to higher concentration, it's called active transport, and it does use energy. And these are channels, and they have really cool 3D models these days, showing all these different kinds of proteins that are membrane proteins, and they're really complex and they're really cool looking. Some examples here: hemoglobin, homocyanins,
That's hemo.
sorry, hemerythrin. I don't know.
It says hemo.
Okay, so these are
Damn it.
some cartoons showing uniporter going one direction, symporter, two different molecules going in one direction, and antiporter, one molecule in one direction, another molecule in another direction. We'll continue in the next part. Thank you guys. Bye.